Over 10 million people in Europe are living with dementia right now. And here's the terrifying part: the damage starts in your brain up to 20 years before any symptoms show up. That means if you're watching this and you're over 40, what you put on your plate today is either protecting your brain or slowly breaking it down. Stay with me, because in the next 35 minutes, I'm handing you the complete list of foods that your brain is literally begging you to eat. And if you're thinking this doesn't apply to you, maybe you feel fine, memory's okay, no obvious issues, I want you to think about it for a second. When was the last time you walked into a room and forgot why you went in there? When was the last time a name was right on the tip of your tongue and just vanished? That's not just getting older. That's your brain telling you something. And today, we're going to do something about it. If you're over 40 and you've noticed your memory isn't quite what it used to be, name forgetting, brain fog, losing your train of thought mid-sentence, this video was built specifically for you. I'm going to give you the full science-backed list of every food your brain needs, broken into categories, easy to remember, and easy to find in any European supermarket. Think of this as your brain's grocery shopping guide. We're going to go through 47 foods across 6 categories, and by the end, you'll have a practical blueprint you can actually use starting this week. But that's not even the most surprising part. There's one specific leafy green we're going to talk about later that research shows can make your brain function up to 11 years younger. 11 years, we'll get there. Let's get into it. Before we dive into the foods themselves, I need to give you the health disclaimer that matters. Nothing in this video is medical advice. Always consult your doctor or a qualified healthcare professional before making significant changes to your diet, especially if you have existing health conditions or you're taking medication. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. Now, let's talk about why food affects your brain in the first place, because once you understand the mechanism, everything on this list is going to make a lot more sense. Your brain is basically the most expensive, high-maintenance organ in your body. It uses 20% of all your energy, even though it's only about 2% of your body weight. Think about that for a moment. A tiny 1.4 kilogram structure burning a fifth of everything you eat. And what it runs on? Food. Specifically, the right kind of food. Here's where it gets interesting. As we age, something called chronic low-level neuroinflammation becomes one of the biggest drivers of memory loss, brain fog, and cognitive decline. You don't feel this inflammation the way you'd feel a sore knee. It's silent, it's slow, and it builds up over years and decades. The foods we eat either fan those flames or they put them out. That's really the core of everything we're going to cover today. There are 3 key nutrients to keep in mind as we go through this list. First, omega-3 fatty acids. These are literally the building blocks of your brain cell membranes. Your brain is about 60% fat, and it needs a steady supply of the right kinds of fats to stay structurally sound. Second, antioxidants. These fight oxidative stress, which is basically the cellular rust that accumulates in your brain over time. Third, B vitamins. These fuel neurological function and, critically, protect against brain shrinkage that's been observed in aging adults. Here's a simple analogy that I find really helpful. Imagine your brain cells are like tiny rechargeable batteries. Some foods charge them up fully, give them what they need to fire properly, communicate clearly, form memories, make decisions. Other foods, the processed stuff, the refined sugars, the trans fats, they drain those batteries. Sometimes they damage the charging mechanism entirely. Today we're focusing entirely on the chargers. Now here's where it gets interesting, the gut-brain axis. Your gut and your brain are in constant two-way communication through something called the vagus nerve. The trillions of bacteria living in your gut don't just digest food. They actually produce neurotransmitters, regulate inflammation, and influence your mood, focus, and memory. This is why fermented foods are going to show up on this list, and why everything is connected. Okay, let's get into the actual foods. Category 1. Let's start with the single most studied, most proven category of brain food on the planet, fatty fish. If your diet is low in fatty fish, your brain is running low on its most critical structural material. This isn't a maybe. This is as close to settled science as nutritional research gets. Food number 1, salmon. Salmon is packed with DHA, which stands for docosahexaenoic acid. It's the most abundant omega-3 fatty acid in the brain, and it's found concentrated in the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus, the areas most involved in decision-making and memory. Studies show that regular salmon consumption is linked to larger brain volume in those exact areas. 2 servings a week is the sweet spot recommended by most brain health researchers. Wild caught is ideal if you can get it, but farmed Atlantic salmon, which is everywhere in European supermarkets from Lisbon to Warsaw, still delivers excellent DHA. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good here. Food number 2, sardines. I know. Sardines get a bit of a reputation. People either love them or they make a face. But listen, in terms of omega, 3 per euro spent, nothing beats sardines. They are extraordinary value for brain health. They're also incredibly low in mercury compared to larger fish like tuna or swordfish, which matters when you're eating fish regularly. And here's a really important context point. Sardines are a staple of Mediterranean diets, and the Mediterranean region consistently shows some of the lowest dementia rates in all of Europe. That's not a coincidence. Food number 3, mackerel. Another omega-3 champion, and one that's widely available and genuinely affordable across Northern and Eastern Europe. If you grew up in Germany, Poland, or Scandinavia, mackerel is probably already on your radar, and your brain has been quietly grateful for it. Smoked mackerel especially is incredibly convenient. Grab a fillet, flake it over a salad, done. One of the easiest brain health upgrades there is. Food number 4, herring, especially popular in Dutch, Scandinavian, and Baltic cuisines. Rich in both DHA and EPA, EPA being the other key omega-3 that reduces neuroinflammation directly. And here's something that surprises people: pickled herring absolutely counts. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The omega-3s survived the pickling process. Your Dutch or Scandinavian grandparents were ahead of the curve on brain health. Food number 5, trout. A great freshwater option that's widely farmed across Europe, particularly in Austria, Germany, France, and the British Isles. If you find the stronger taste of saltwater fish a bit much, trout is milder, very accessible, and delivers solid DHA and EPA content. Here's the honest truth about most people over 40 inches Europe: they're eating nowhere near enough of these fish. If you're having fish once a week or less, your brain is chronically undersupplied with its most critical structural material. The goal is 2 to 3 servings of fatty fish per week. That doesn't have to be complicated. A tin of sardines on whole grain toast for lunch is genuinely a brain health meal. Coming up, we're getting into the plant-based options, and there are way more than most people realize. But first, let's get into berries and dark fruits, because these are what I'd call the antioxidant cavalry for your brain. Now, not everyone eats fish, and even if you do, you need antioxidants working alongside those omega-3s. They're a team. The omega-3s build and maintain the structure. The antioxidants protect it from damage. So let's talk berries and dark fruits, because these are absolute brain gold. Food number 6, blueberries. If there is one single food that dominates the brain health research, it's blueberries. They contain flavonoids called anthocyanins that literally cross the blood-brain barrier, which is actually quite difficult for most compounds to do, and directly reduce oxidative stress in the hippocampus. Your hippocampus is your memory center. This is ground zero for Alzheimer's pathology. A Harvard study following over 16,000 women found that those who ate the most blueberries delayed cognitive aging by up to 2.5 years compared to those who ate the fewest. 2.5 years of protected cognition from eating blueberries. The practical tip here is simple. Fresh or frozen, it doesn't matter. Frozen blueberries are often cheaper and just as potent because they're frozen at peak ripeness. A large handful a day is enough to get the benefit. Food number 7, strawberries. If blueberries are the quarterback of the brain food team, strawberries are the reliable wide receiver. Also rich in anthocyanins and packed with vitamin C. They're especially effective at reducing the kind of chronic brain inflammation that accelerates with age. And they're absolutely everywhere in European supermarkets, fresh in spring and summer, frozen year-round. Food number 8, blackberries. High in polyphenols and linked in research to improve memory and spatial navigation, which is your brain's ability to orient itself in space and remember where things are. They grow wild all over Europe in late summer. And if you ever picked them as a kid on walks through the countryside, good news, your past self was doing brain health without even knowing it. Food number 9, cherries. Rich in melatonin, which regulates sleep, and sleep is absolutely essential for memory consolidation. When you sleep, your brain essentially cleans itself, clearing out metabolic waste products, including the amyloid proteins associated with Alzheimer's. Cherries are also high in anthocyanins. Tart cherries in particular have been shown to improve both memory and sleep quality in people over 50. That is genuinely a 2-for-1 deal that you'd be foolish to ignore. Food number 10, dark grapes. The resveratrol content in dark grapes and red grape skin is linked to reduced amyloid plaque buildup, those protein deposits that are one of the defining features of Alzheimer's disease in the brain. You don't need wine to get this benefit. But if you're going to have a drink, a small glass of good red wine occasionally is not the worst thing for your brain. Everything in moderation, as they say. The grapes themselves, though, just eat them. No alcohol required. Food number 11, pomegranate. The antioxidants in pomegranate, called punicalagins, are some of the most potent known to science. Genuinely impressive stuff. Pomegranate is becoming increasingly available across Europe. Look for 100% pomegranate juice with no added sugar as an easy daily option if fresh pomegranate is difficult to find or prepare. Here's an easy win that I want to leave you with from this section. You can pick up frozen blueberries and strawberries at almost any supermarket across Europe for under €3. That is a week's worth of brain-boosting antioxidants for the price of a single coffee. The value proposition here is almost unfair. After the berries section, we're getting into vegetables, and one specific leafy green has been shown to make your brain function up to 11 years younger. Stay with me, because this is the part that genuinely surprises people. Okay, this section surprises people the most. We all know vegetables are good for us. That's been drilled into us since childhood. But the research on what specific vegetables do to actually slow brain aging is remarkable. Let's get into it. Food number 12, spinach. A landmark study from Rush University in Chicago tracked nearly 1,000 older adults over years and found that people who ate just one serving of leafy greens per day had brains that functioned as if they were 11 years, younger than those who ate no leafy greens. 11 years. From one daily serving of spinach, the compounds responsible are lutein and folate. Lutein accumulates directly in brain tissue and protects against cognitive decline. Folate reduces a compound called homocysteine. We'll come back to that, which is directly toxic to brain tissue at high levels. Food number 13, kale. Even higher in vitamin K than spinach. And vitamin K is being increasingly studied for its role in preventing dementia. It's involved in the synthesis of sphingolipids, a type of fat found in high concentrations in brain cell membranes. If the texture is putting you off raw kale, here's a tip. Massage it with a little extra virgin olive oil for about 2 minutes before eating it raw. It softens dramatically, becomes much more palatable, and the olive oil actually helps your body absorb the fat-soluble vitamins. Food number 14, broccoli. Broccoli contains a compound called sulforaphane. That's the molecule responsible for its slightly bitter, sulfurous taste. Studies have shown sulforaphane activates a genetic pathway called NRF2, that switches on the production of antioxidant enzymes inside your brain cells. It's essentially activating your brain's own internal defense system. Eat it lightly steamed rather than boiled to preserve the sulforaphane content. Food number 15, Brussels sprouts. I know Europeans over 40 have complicated, often traumatic childhood memories involving Brussels sprouts. Boiled to mush, smelling up the kitchen. But hear me out, roasted with extra virgin olive oil, garlic, and a little sea salt at high heat. They are genuinely delicious, and they contain the same family of sulforaphane compounds as broccoli, making them powerful brain protectors in their own right. Food number 16, Swiss chard, or mangold as it's known in many parts of Europe, widely eaten across southern and eastern Europe, and incredibly rich in magnesium. Magnesium plays a critical role in synaptic plasticity, which is essentially how well your brain forms new neural connections, learns new information, and consolidates memories. Many people over 40 are subtly deficient in magnesium without knowing it. Food number 17, beetroot. Nitrates in beetroot convert to nitric oxide in your body, and nitric oxide is a powerful vasodilator. It relaxes and widens blood vessels. Better blood flow to the brain means more oxygen and more nutrients reaching your brain cells, which translates directly to sharper thinking, better concentration, and more mental energy. Beetroot is extremely popular across northern and eastern Europe. Beetroot soup, roasted beets, pickled beets all count. Your borscht is doing more than warming you up. Food number 18, red cabbage. This one is genuinely, dramatically underrated. It contains anthocyanins, the same family of compounds we saw in blueberries, plus substantial vitamin C and a range of polyphenols. Red cabbage is cheap, widely available in every supermarket across Europe. It lasts for weeks in the fridge, and it is genuinely excellent for brain health. Shred it raw into salads or ferment it for double the benefit. Food number 19, asparagus. High in folate vitamin B9, which reduces homocysteine. High homocysteine levels are directly linked to brain atrophy and significantly increased risk of Alzheimer's. If your homocysteine is elevated, Folate-rich foods like asparagus are part of the nutritional answer. Food number 20, avocado. Yes, technically a fruit, but it belongs in this section conceptually. Avocados are loaded with healthy monounsaturated fats that support healthy cerebral blood flow, and they're rich in vitamin E, one of the most important antioxidants specifically for brain tissue. They're also a source of lutein, which, as we noted, concentrates in the brain itself. Now here's something practical I want you to take away from this vegetable section. 1 salad per day spinach base, some berries, a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, a handful of walnuts. That is one of the most powerful brain protective habits you can build. It takes literally 5 minutes to prepare. We're not talking about complicated cooking. We're talking about assembly. Your brain doesn't need a Michelin-starred chef. It needs consistent access to these nutrients. Up next, nuts and seeds. And I'm going to tell you exactly which ones matter most, how much to eat, and the one common mistake most people over 40 are making with their snacking habits. This is the category most people underestimate completely. All right, nuts and seeds. I see so many people over 40 making the same mistake in this area. They reach for crisps, biscuits, maybe a piece of fruit, and they're completely skipping the single best brain snack there is. Let's fix that. Food number 21, walnuts. The brain food that literally looks like a brain, and while that's just a fun visual coincidence, the science behind walnuts is anything but trivial. Walnuts are the only nut with significant amounts of ALA omega-3 fatty acids. They're also loaded with polyphenols that directly reduce neuroinflammation. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that higher walnut consumption was associated with significantly better cognitive function in adults, over 60 better memory, better processing speed, better mental flexibility. The practical recommendation from most brain health researchers is 7 walnuts a day. Not 7 handfuls, 7 individual walnuts. That's it. Easy. Food number 22, almonds. Rich in vitamin E, which, as we've established, is one of the most important antioxidants specifically for brain health. Vitamin E deficiency is actually linked to cognitive decline. A small handful of almonds gives you roughly 37% of your daily vitamin E requirement. Snack on them, throw them in oatmeal, add them to salads. They're everywhere, and they're accessible. Food number 23, hazelnuts. Extremely popular across Germany, France, Italy, and Eastern Europe. An excellent source of vitamin E, healthy fats, and folate. Roasted hazelnuts as a snack are legitimately a brain health food. Just skip the Nutella. The hazelnut content in most commercial spreads is minimal, and the sugar content is enormous. Get the actual nuts. Food number 24, cashews. High in magnesium and zinc. Zinc is critical for nerve signaling and is often found to be depleted in people experiencing cognitive issues. The nervous system runs partly on zinc. Synaptic function, DNA repair, and neurons, inflammation regulation all depend on it. Food number 25, flax seeds, also called linseed across much of Europe. The highest plant-based source of ALA omega-3 fatty acids per gram. The key is that you need to use ground flaxseed, not whole seeds. Whole seeds pass through your digestive system largely intact. Ground flaxseed can be added to oatmeal, yogurt, smoothies, even mixed into bread batter. You genuinely won't taste it, and your brain will benefit enormously. Food number 26, chia seeds. Also an excellent source of ALA, omega-3s, plus substantial fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria, which, remember, connects back to brain health via that gut-brain axis we discussed at the start. Food number 27, pumpkin seeds. One of the richest sources of both zinc and magnesium in the entire plant world. They also contain tryptophan, the amino acid that's the precursor to serotonin, which is why they're linked to better mood and reduced anxiety. And here's why that matters for brain health. Chronic anxiety and depression are actually independent risk factors for dementia. Taking care of your mood is taking care of your brain. Food number 28, sunflower seeds. High in vitamin E and selenium. A small handful of sunflower seeds gives you nearly your full daily selenium requirement. Selenium is a powerful antioxidant that specifically protects brain cells from oxidative damage. It's also involved in thyroid function, which affects cognitive performance. Food number 29, extra virgin olive oil. This isn't technically a nut or seed, but it belongs in the healthy fats category completely. Extra virgin olive oil is the cornerstone of the Mediterranean diet, the dietary pattern most consistently associated with the lowest rates of cognitive decline in Europe. It contains a compound called oleocanthal, which research suggests may actually help clear the amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease from the brain. The practical recommendation is 2 to 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil per day. Use it as your main cooking fat. Drizzle it on vegetables, use it in salads, put it on your bread. Make it your default fat. Here's a dead simple daily brain snack habit: a small bowl of mixed walnuts, almonds, and pumpkin seeds sitting on your desk or kitchen counter. When you get peckish, and you will get peckish, you grab a handful instead of reaching for something processed. 5 minutes of prep once a week, and you've built a genuine brain health habit. Almost at the finish line, we've still got whole grains, legumes, spices, drinks, and the bonus category of fermented foods. These last sections might actually be the most practical part of the whole list. Your brain is an energy hog. It runs on glucose, and the type of carbohydrates you feed it matters enormously. Refined carbohydrates, white bread, white pasta, pastries, sugary cereals cause blood sugar spikes followed by crashes. That brain fog you feel after a big white bread lunch? That's your blood sugar crashing. Whole grains and legumes give your brain a steady, sustained fuel supply without those destabilizing spikes and crashes. Food number 30: oats. The perfect brain breakfast. Slow-release energy from beta-glucan fiber, high in B vitamins including B1 and B5, and that same beta-glucan fiber feeds beneficial gut bacteria. If you're currently skipping breakfast or starting with pastries or sugary cereals, swapping to plain oats with some berries and ground flaxseed on top is one of the single most impactful breakfast upgrades you can make for brain health. Food number 31: whole grain rye bread. Rye bread is a staple across Germany, Scandinavia, and the Baltic states, and it is significantly better for blood sugar regulation and brain health than standard white wheat bread. The high fiber content slows glucose absorption dramatically and keeps your brain fueled steadily for hours. If you have access to proper dense German or Scandinavian-style rye bread, eat it. Food number 32: quinoa. Complete protein, containing all essential amino acids, with a low glycemic index. An excellent swap for white rice or pasta. Here's why amino acids matter for the brain specifically. Your brain uses them to produce neurotransmitters: dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine. All of these critical brain chemicals are synthesized from amino acids. Without the right amino acid supply, brain chemistry can't function properly. Food number 33: lentils. Absolute nutritional powerhouses for brain health. Packed with folate, iron, zinc, and plant protein. The folate directly reduces homocysteine levels, which, as we've now mentioned several times, is directly linked to brain atrophy. Lentil soup twice a week is genuinely one of the best dietary habits you can build for your aging brain. And lentil soup is very traditional in Mediterranean, French, and Eastern European cooking. This isn't exotic or difficult. It's probably something your grandmother made. Food number 34: chickpeas. Hummus is brain food. There, I said it. Chickpeas are rich in choline, the precursor to acetylcholine, which is the neurotransmitter most directly associated with memory and learning. Low choline is associated with foggy memory and impaired learning. Eat hummus. Eat roasted chickpeas. Add them to salads and stews. Your memory circuitry will thank you. Food number 35: black beans and kidney beans, and all legumes in general. They all contribute folate, fiber, plant protein, and iron. The practical goal is having beans or legumes in your diet at least 3 to 4 times a week. They're inexpensive, extraordinarily versatile, they last in the pantry, and both your brain and your gut microbiome benefit every single time you eat them. Food number 36: eggs. Eggs deserve a special spotlight here. They are one of the single best sources of choline in the entire food supply, particularly egg yolks. If you've been avoiding egg yolks because of old dietary advice about cholesterol, it's worth knowing that modern research has largely rehabilitated egg yolks for most healthy adults. The cholesterol concern has been substantially revised. Eggs also contain lutein, B vitamins including B6, B12, and folate, and if the hens were fed omega-3 enriched feed, they'll also contain DHA. 2 to 3 eggs per day is completely reasonable for most people over 40. I know some of you are thinking this is a lot of food to track. And look, you genuinely don't have to eat all of this every single day. The goal is to make sure these foods are present in your weekly diet, rotating through your meals naturally over the course of a week. Think of this list as your brain's shopping basket, not a daily prescription. You're building a dietary pattern, not following a rigid meal plan. Okay, Final categories, and these are the ones that genuinely surprise people. Spices and drinks that are actually doing something meaningful for your brain chemistry, and fermented foods that most people across Europe have been eating their whole lives without realizing they were doing something good for their minds. Let's start with spices. Food number 37, turmeric. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, is one of the most extensively studied natural anti-inflammatory compounds in science. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, reduces amyloid plaques, and boosts something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for new brain cells. It stimulates neurogenesis, the growth of new neurons, and strengthens synaptic connections. Here's the critical tip that most people miss. Always combine turmeric with black pepper. The piperine in black pepper increases curcumin absorption by up to 0%. Not a typo. 2,000%. Without the black pepper, you're absorbing almost none of the curcumin. Always together. Food number 38, rosemary. A compound in rosemary called 1,8-cineol has been shown in studies to improve memory performance and concentration. Remarkably, even the aroma of rosemary has demonstrated measurable cognitive benefits in research. Just being in a room where rosemary is diffused improved test scores in one study. It's also incredibly easy to grow on a kitchen windowsill if you live in an apartment. Use it in cooking. Use it as a garnish. Keep it alive and nearby. Food number 39, sage. Used medicinally across Europe for centuries, specifically for memory and cognitive function. Modern research has confirmed why sage inhibits acetylcholinesterase, the enzyme that breaks down acetylcholine in the brain. Protecting your acetylcholine supply is exactly the same mechanism targeted by some pharmaceutical Alzheimer's medications. Your grandparents' herb garden was doing pharmacology. Food number 40, cinnamon. Beyond its pleasant flavor, cinnamon stabilizes blood sugar, which, as we've established, has a direct impact on brain function and cognitive clarity. It also contains compounds that may inhibit tau protein buildup in the brain, tau tangles being another defining pathological hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. Add it to oatmeal, coffee, yogurt, baked goods. Now drinks. Food number 41, green tea. The combination of L-theanine and EGCG in green tea creates a state that researchers often describe as calm, focused alertness. It's why you don't get the jittery, anxious edge from green tea that some people experience with strong coffee. L-theanine modifies the stimulating effect of caffeine into something smoother. 2 to 3 cups of green tea daily is associated in several large population studies with significantly lower dementia risk. That's a cheap, pleasant, practical brain health habit with strong evidence behind it. Food number 42, coffee. Yes, your morning coffee is genuinely good for your brain, in moderation. Caffeine blocks adenosine receptors in the brain, reducing the signal that makes you feel sleepy and improving alertness and reaction time acutely. More importantly, longer-term studies consistently show that regular moderate coffee drinkers 2 to 3 cups per day have lower rates of both Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. The important caveat, we're talking about black coffee or coffee with a small amount of plain milk, not sugar-loaded flavored lattes with syrups 3 times a day. The coffee itself is the medicine. What you add to it can undo the benefit. Food number 43, water. I know this sounds too obvious to include, but chronic mild dehydration is one of the most common and most underappreciated causes of brain fog, poor concentration, and memory problems in people over 40. Your brain is 73% water. Even 2% dehydration, which you might not consciously feel as thirst, causes measurable cognitive decline in studies. 6 to 8 glasses of water a day, non-negotiable. This is the cheapest brain supplement there is, and most people are chronically behind on it. Now, fermented foods. Food number 44, plain natural yogurt. The gut-brain axis we discussed at the start is real and well-established. Trillions of bacteria in your gut communicate directly with your brain via the vagus nerve. They produce neurotransmitters, regulate inflammation signals, and influence your mood and cognition. Probiotic-rich fermented foods support a healthy, diverse gut microbiome. Plain yogurt, not the sugary fruit-flavored versions, is one of the easiest ways to get daily probiotics. Greek yogurt with some berries and walnuts is one of the best brain breakfasts or snacks you can put together. Food number 45, kefir. Even more probiotic diversity than yogurt, a well-made kefir can contain dozens of different bacterial and yeast strains compared to the 2 or 3 typically in commercial yogurt. Kefir is widely available across Europe, and is particularly culturally familiar in Eastern and Central European countries. Studies specifically link kefir consumption to improved memory and cognitive performance in aging adults. Food number 46: sauerkraut and fermented vegetables. Traditional in Germany, Austria, Poland, the Czech Republic, and throughout Eastern Europe, sauerkraut, fermented pickles, kimchi-style vegetable ferments. These are all feeding your gut microbiome and by extension supporting your brain health. Your grandparents were accidentally doing neuroscience every time they served fermented cabbage at dinner. The tradition existed before the science caught up. Food number 47: dark chocolate with at least 70% cocoa content. Last on the list, and possibly your favorite. Dark chocolate is rich in flavonoids, particularly a compound called epicatechin, which increases cerebral blood flow. More blood flow to the brain means more oxygen, more nutrients, sharper thinking. A small square or two of proper dark chocolate daily is both enjoyable and evidence-based. The key word is dark. We're talking 70% cocoa or higher. We're not talking about Milka. We're not talking about Kit Kat. We're talking about the slightly bitter, properly dark kind. Your brain wants the bitterness. That's where the flavonoids live. The bitterness is the medicine. All right, we've just gone through 47 incredible brain-boosting foods. I know that feels like a lot to hold in your head at once, so let me give you the practical framework for actually using this list in your real life. This is the action protocol section, the part where we make this actually usable. Here is your daily brain plate. Breakfast. Start with oats or whole grain rye bread as your base carbohydrate. Add 2 to 3 eggs for choline and B vitamins. Throw in a large handful of blueberries or strawberries for antioxidants, and drink black coffee or green tea. Add ground flaxseed to your oats, just a tablespoon. That breakfast alone covers omega-3s, choline, antioxidants, fiber, and slow-release brain fuel. Lunch. Build a large salad with a spinach or kale base. Add either a portion of salmon, sardines, or mackerel, or if you're going plant-based for that meal, a generous serving of lentils or chickpeas. Dress it with extra virgin olive oil. Add a small handful of walnuts. This lunch gives you DHA or plant protein, vitamin K, folate, polyphenols, and healthy fats all in one bowl. Dinner. Aim for fatty fish 2 to 3 times per week at dinner. On the other nights, rotate legumes, lentil dishes, bean stews, chickpea curries. Always include abundant, colorful vegetables with cruciferous options. Add turmeric with black pepper to your cooking wherever it fits naturally. Soups, stews, roasted vegetables. Snacks. A small mixed bowl of walnuts, almonds, and pumpkin seeds is your default snack. Or natural yogurt with berries. Or a small square of dark chocolate. When you feel like something sweet, reach for berries. When you feel like something substantial, reach for the nut mix. Drinks throughout the day. Water is your priority. Keep a large glass or bottle visible on your desk or kitchen counter. Green tea through the day. Moderate coffee in the morning. Here's your weekly brain shopping list summarized. From the fish counter, salmon, sardines, mackerel, or herring, aim for 2 to 3 servings across the week. From the produce section, blueberries fresh or frozen, spinach, broccoli, kale, beetroot, avocado, red cabbage, these should be in your basket every single week. From the dry goods aisle, oats, whole grain rye bread, lentils, chickpeas, walnuts, almonds, ground flaxseed, dark chocolate 70% or higher. From the dairy section, natural plain yogurt or kefir, eggs. From the spice rack, turmeric, black pepper always alongside it, rosemary, sage, cinnamon. Now, the 80/20 rule, because I want to be real with you here. You do not need to eat every single one of these foods every week perfectly. That's not how real life works, and that's not how sustainable habits are built. If 80% of your regular diet is rotating through these brain-supportive food categories, you are doing something genuinely meaningful for your long-term brain health. Even adding just 5 or 6 of these foods to your current weekly diet, replacing some of the processed foods, the refined carbs, the sugary snacks, represents a significant and measurable upgrade. Think of it as compound interest. Every time you choose salmon over a processed ready meal, or blueberries instead of biscuits, or a handful of walnuts instead of crisps, you are making a deposit into your brain's health account. Those deposits accumulate over months and years into a significantly lower risk of cognitive decline. You're not going to feel the benefit tomorrow, but in 10 years, in 20 years, the research is clear that what you do consistently now matters enormously for the brain you'll have then. None of us can guarantee what will happen to our brains as we get older, but we absolutely can change the odds. We can shift the probability. Every single person watching this who is over 40 and making these dietary shifts is making a real, evidence-based investment in their own future. That's not nothing. That is everything. Now, let me give you a quick lightning recap of all 6 categories before we close out. Category 1. Fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel, herring, trout. 2 to 3 servings per week, non-negotiable for brain structure and DHA supply. Category 2. Berries and dark fruits, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, cherries, dark grapes, pomegranate. Daily antioxidants crossing the blood-brain barrier and protecting your hippocampus. Category 3. Leafy greens and brain. Protective vegetables, spinach, kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, Swiss chard, beetroot, red cabbage, asparagus, avocado. 1 serving of leafy greens per day equals up to 11 years of younger brain function. Category 4. Nuts, seeds, and healthy fats, walnuts, almonds, hazelnuts, cashews, flax seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, extra virgin olive oil, your brain's structural maintenance crew. Category 5. Whole grains, legumes, and brain fuel proteins, oats, whole grain rye bread, quinoa, lentils, chickpeas, beans, eggs, steady glucose fuel, choline, B vitamins, and amino acids for neurotransmitter production. Category 6. Spices, drinks, and fermented foods, turmeric with black pepper, always, rosemary, sage, cinnamon, green tea, moderate coffee, water, plain yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, dark chocolate 70% or higher. The gut-brain axis, inflammation control, and cerebral blood flow all in this final category. Here is your action protocol, specific, practical, and based on the clinical evidence. For omega, 3S from food, 2 to 3 servings of fatty fish per week, each serving around 100 to 150 grams. If you genuinely cannot meet this from food, a high-quality fish oil supplement providing 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of combined DHA and EPA daily is reasonable. Take it with your main meal to improve absorption and reduce any digestive discomfort. Look for a product that's been third-party tested for purity. For curcumin from turmeric, use half a teaspoon of turmeric powder daily in cooking, always combined with a generous pinch of black pepper. If using a supplement, standardize curcumin extracts at 500 to 1,000 milligrams per day with a fat-containing meal are the forms used in clinical research. Always with fat, curcumin is fat-soluble. For the gut-brain axis, aim for at least 1 serving of fermented food daily, plain yogurt or kefir, and rotate fermented vegetables through your week. This is a minimum 8-week commitment before you'll notice meaningful differences in digestion, mood, and cognitive clarity. For antioxidants, a large handful of mixed berries daily, ideally blueberries as a priority. This is one of the most direct, evidence-backed daily brain habits you can build. For choline, 2 to 3 eggs per day covers most of your choline needs. If you don't eat eggs, chickpeas and lentils multiple times per week, combined with other legumes, can approximate the contribution. Contraindications worth noting. If you're on blood thinners like warfarin, high doses of omega-3 supplements should be discussed with your doctor as they can affect clotting. Very high turmeric or curcumin supplementation should be discussed with your doctor if you're on diabetes medications, blood pressure medications, or blood thinners. And if you have any existing kidney or liver conditions, always check with your healthcare provider before significantly increasing any specific food category. The realistic timeline for these changes: in the first 1 to 2 weeks, most people notice improved energy and slightly better digestion as the gut microbiome begins responding to better nutrition. By weeks 4 to 6, many people report improved mood, better sleep quality, and some reduction in that mid-afternoon brain fog. By 3 to 6 months of consistent dietary change, the real neurological benefits, improved memory consolidation, better cognitive clarity, reduced brain inflammation, are where the research shows the most meaningful differences. This is not a one-week fix. This is a lifestyle pattern that compounds its benefits over years. Now, 3 things I want to ask you to do before you close this video. First, screenshot this list, or save this video, or write the 6 categories on a piece of paper and put it on your fridge. Whatever format works for you. You need this information accessible when you're actually standing in the supermarket, not locked away in a video you'll forget you watched. Second, share this with someone you love who's over 40. A partner, a sibling, a friend, a parent. This information genuinely could change their quality of life, and sharing it costs you nothing. Third, click subscribe and hit the bell notification. We create practical, science-backed health guidance made specifically for people over 40 inches Europe. No fluff, no fads, no products to sell you. Just the research, translated into things you can actually do. The next video is already coming, and you don't want to miss it. And tell me in the comments below, which of these 47 foods are you already eating regularly, and which one surprised you the most? I genuinely read every single comment. I want to know where you're starting from. You showed up for yourself today by watching this whole video, and that matters more than you might realize. Your brain is worth taking care of. It's the most remarkable thing you own. It's carried every memory you've made, every skill you've built, every relationship you've cherished. It's carried you this far. Take care of it, and it will take care of you. See you in the next one. Take care of yourselves.